Hey Divine Ones, it's Jerome Braggs, the intuitive who teaches you how to heal yourself and manifest a well body and a delicious life through the practice of self-love. Today's video is something that I'm really excited to share with you because this has been something that has probably been one of the most transformative things in my life that I learned in my healing journey. And that is letting ourselves be seen is a medicine. It's actually one of our greatest medicines. And it's about showing up and revealing all of ourselves, all the parts of our being, letting every aspect of ourselves be seen and live in the light. And I had a very hard time with this for many years because I've been talking about this in many of the videos in this series, but I grew up not letting many parts of myself be seen, being very scared to let parts of myself be seen. And the reason I was so scared is because of the number one fear that we have as human beings. Now, this is something that I learned not just in my own journey that I saw for myself, but in working with people around the world. I saw that really this is the number one fear in the world. It's not the fear of death, as we've been taught it is, although that is a very big fear for human beings. It's not the fear of our light, which is another fear that people will teach and say that we have. But what I discovered is the biggest fear that we hold as human beings is the fear that if we allow all of our truth, all of ourselves to be seen, we won't be loved. That there is an aspect of who we are, of where we are, of how we look, of how we be, that is unlovable. And if people see it, they will withdraw their love from us. And loss of love for human beings is terrifying because one, we need love. Love is a need. It's not a frivolous thing. It's actually something we need to survive here on the planet, literally. And so if you fear that you're going to lose love, you'll do things to try and protect it, right? To try and keep yourself from losing that love. And one of the things that you do is you hide. And so this is, you hide the thing that you believe will make you lose love. That is the thing that you believe is unlovable. And that's what I did for most of my life, right? I was teased a lot when I was as a kid for being a bigger kid, for being thick or being chubby. And so I was made to feel like my body as it is unlovable. And that if it's seen as it is in its natural state, then I'll lose love. So I began to hide. I would wear baggy clothes. I wouldn't take my clothes off in public. I wouldn't take my clothes off in the locker room when I played sports. I wouldn't take my shirt off when we were playing basketball. I wouldn't take my shirt off at the pool. I wouldn't wear shorts. These are types of things that I would hide my body because I believed that if my body was seen, I would be rejected and I would lose love. I also hid my sexuality. When I learned very young that I was attracted to the same gender, I hid that because in my environment that I was growing up in society and culture that I was in, I was made to believe from the conversations that were happening and from what people were showing me, was that if I showed that I was attracted to the same gender, I would be rejected and I would lose love. So I hid my sexuality for most of my life. I also hid my intuitive gifts because when I grew up, while I was growing up, I grew up in a very religious household. And I grew up in a very religious culture. Black Americans are very religious, mostly. And in the culture, in the space that I was growing up in, and in the city I was growing up in, it was very religious. So the fact that I could speak to people who weren't living anymore, the fact that I could read energy, all of that I believed was not going to be accepted and that I was not going to be loved. And so I hid that for many years. But here's the thing about hiding. Hiding damages us for two reasons. One, because hiding is suppression. And you can't suppress an aspect of yourself and be fully healthy, right? Suppression, remember in this video series I talked about expressing. The expression is needed for health, the full expression of the self. has to flow. That is how the soul's energy flows through the body when we are fully expressed. That is one of the ways it flows freely through the body, freely through the chakra system. If there's an aspect of us that is suppressed and we're not allowing it to be expressed, that blocks the energy flow of the soul through the body. And that will cause illness and disease in the body because the body needs the flow of the soul's energy through it to be healthy. That's one reason why hiding causes illness and why it's detrimental to us. The other reason is because only what is seen can receive love. Only what is seen can be loved. Only what is revealed in the light can receive the light, can receive it. It has to be in the light to receive the light. If it is in shadow, which is what we do when we hide something, we put it in shadow, it cannot receive the light. And only what is in the light can be loved, and we need love. It is a need. And here's another thing. So that's why when you hide aspects of yourself, you never really feel truly loved because you're not being your whole self. And you have to be your whole authentic self to be wholly loved. So this is something that I really began to learn is that in order to heal, you have to begin to reveal aspects of yourself that you've been keeping in shadow. You have to bring them to the light. The secrets that you held, all of the parts of your aspect, your personality, all the parts of your personality that you may have rejected or put aside, your quirkiness. For me, it was my quirkiness, my weirdness, my femininity. It was my sexuality that I needed to bring out. It was my intuitive gifts that I needed to bring out. I needed to show my body and stop hiding it. And there's a third thing that also happens with hiding that I wanted to share that just came through that I forgot. When you hide, and I've talked about this in the last video when I talked about your body's a reflection of your consciousness. When you hide and you feel that there are things that you have to hide, you have to keep continuing things to hide. You have to keep manifesting things to hide. And your body is going to do that for you. Your body is going to manifest things. If you feel that you need to hide, if you feel that there are things about you that can't be seen and that can't be revealed, then your body will start to manifest things. Because remember, the body has to reflect your consciousness. So it will start to manifest things. It will start to manifest all types of things in all different types of ways, through an illness or through some type of injury or through some type of accident. You'll have something that you'll feel like, oh my God, I need to hide this. In the last video, I talked about how I manifested the scars, right? And the scars were something that I needed to feel like I need to hide. Because I still wasn't working on really revealing all of myself and bringing all of myself out and feeling like that my truth could live in the light and I could still receive love for it. I manifested something else. And this was like the last straw for me that kind of woke me up and was like, okay, we really have to work on this thing. And I have been really beginning to do that. And I've been working on letting myself be seen. After this thing happened, I'm going to show you what this thing is here in a second. This is the vulnerable thing for this video. But after I began doing that and really letting myself be seen, bringing all these aspects into the light, I have been feeling more love than I ever knew was possible. And as a matter of fact, I have received more love by being seen, not less. And that's the message that our fear tells us, is that when we reveal ourselves, when we bring ourselves out of hiding, when we let ourselves be seen, we will receive less love. But the truth is, you will receive more love. As a matter of fact, I've only received love. The more I've let everything that was in the dark be seen, the more the light has shined on me and shown me in the light is where everything about me has always belonged. So I want to share something with you that I manifested that really made me feel like I needed to hide. So in the beginning, when I was on kidney failure, I remember I told you about there were scars on my arm that I have from surgeries. I hid those because I felt like that made me ugly and I couldn't be seen. Well, as I began to work on these things, I still was having this feeling like there were parts of me that couldn't be seen. There were parts of even my truth about some things I believed. I hid some things that I knew from my near-death experience about how reality really works. I hid that because it was different from what other people were talking about in spirituality. It was different from what I heard other teachers speak about, and I didn't want for people to reject me and for people to be like, "Oh, that's too woo-woo," or "Oh, that's too crazy." And so I would hide, and I went through life hiding. And again, if you have this energy, your vibration is what determines your reality. So as I went through the world with this vibration of I need to hide, I began to manifest more things to hide. And the last straw for me that woke me up was I was at first I had was using a fistula in dialysis, which was just my arm, right? And I showed you that in the last video, the scars on my arm. But it clotted, and so they could no longer use it. And the only place they could go the only thing they could use then was a catheter, to put a catheter in my body, and they would pull the blood out through there and they would clean it. But they couldn't. Usually they put it in the chest, and I have some scars in my chest where from former catheters, if you can see there. But they could no longer put it in there because they had put so many up there that the vessels were no longer available. So the only place they could put it in is my leg. And in my leg was so embarrassing to me at that time because it made me feel very unsexy. It made me feel like, oh my God, now nobody's really going to be attracted to me. It made me feel like I needed to hide this because if somebody saw this, they definitely wouldn't find me attractive. And if they saw this, they definitely wouldn't listen to me because what would I know about healing if I had this thing in my leg? And so I would hide it. I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't even let people know for a long time that I was even dealing with this, because again, that fear that was running me was if they knew if they knew you had this catheter in your leg and they knew you were still on dialysis, nobody would listen to you. Nobody would love you. And so I would hide it. And one of the things I began to do, after years of this happening, was I was like, I need to heal this. I finally my guides finally spoke to me and they were like, you've got to stop hiding if you want to heal. And so I began to share it. I began to take pictures of it and show it. And I'm about to show it now. And so again, it's in my leg here. So if you can see it, there's a catheter right here, right? It's attached to my leg here. It's covered because it's a hole kind of here where it goes in, so it needs to be covered. But I would hide this. I wouldn't show this because I didn't want people to think, I didn't want people to reject me. But in this trying to protect myself from rejection, and this is what happens with all of us when we try to protect ourselves from what we believe will be rejected for the loss of love, what we actually ends up happening is we suppress ourselves, and actually we're trying to protect the loss of love, but we actually cause ourselves to lose love, because only in fully being seen can people accept you for who you are and actually show you love for who you are. And only then will you actually truly ever really feel loved. When you hide, you feel accepted and approved of for who you're not. And so you begin to perform and try to keep that up, which is exhausting, which drains your energy, and which further makes you sick. But when you finally reveal, you release all the weight of hiding, which feels like a prison. You release the weight, you become free, and then you finally receive love for being your authentic self. And that love heals. Since I've begun showing this catheter, which is the last aspect of myself actually that's still in shadow. Everything else I've put out, I've revealed. But since I've shown this, my health has been just increasing and skyrocketing, which to the doctors, amazement, they can't understand how this is happening because nothing's really changing on their end. But it's energy. When your energy is no longer bottled up by hiding and you're letting all of yourself be seen, love pours in, and love heals all the places where the dark was. And love is the medicine. It is the medicine always. It is the medicine that heals everything. But this is how I had been keeping myself from love, by trying to protect myself from losing love. I have been actually withholding love from myself. And the more I've shown this to people, again, where I thought they were going to be like, oh my God, I can't deal with that, or oh my God, I don't want to deal with you, the opposite has happened. The more they've embraced me, the more they've welcomed me. Life loves us. Life belongs to us. We belong to life, and life wants to prove that to us. But it will only prove it to us if we show up and let ourselves be fully seen. And in order to do that, we have to let go of the fear that we will lose love if we live some aspect of our truth. Because the real truth is, you will gain more love. Will there be loss? There may be some type of loss. You may lose something. But if you lose something by living your truth, that was never love. Because your truth only attracts love to you. So, this is today's video. I hope this has been some type of aha. Again, we got more videos. We got 9 more videos to go. I think 8 or 9 more videos to go in this series. I've got some more juicy stuff to share. Lots, actually. Thanks for riding with me through this. It's been cathartic and healing for me to share all of this, and I hope it's been the same for you to hear it. Until next time, I love you. Now go love yourself. Bye.